Hi, it's Trevor Foley from Linden Learning. The key skill of coaching is not asking questions, it's listening to the answers. It's how, as coaches, we show respect and also how we build a connection. When someone feels you being genuinely attentive, meaningfully interested, then they tend to share a little more and a little more honestly, both to you and to themselves. So, how do you do that? Well, much of it's down to the qualities and characteristics I explored in my last post, so feel free to go back and have a look at that. And much of it's how you what's called actively listen. Now, there's loads out there on active listening if you want to dig a bit deeper, but I'm going to pick 5 things that make a big difference. The first is the simplest. Make it obvious that you're paying attention. It might be that you listen best with your good ear, so you turn that towards them. But the message they're getting is that there's something more interesting going on over there. It's the basics. It's relaxed eye contact, subtle nods, the odd encouraging word or phrase. Continuing to listen, well, even if there's a slight pause, rather than jumping in to fill the space. Secondly, match their energy. Tune into their rhythm, their demeanour. It's more nuanced than the advice you sometimes get about mirroring someone's body language. You can end up just doing a kind of funny dance of their movements. It's about being in the same ballpark in relation to things like pace, volume, having a similar tension or lack of it in your posture. Being aware of the tone. Is it light-hearted or is it serious? If you want to connect, then you need to meet them where they are. Thirdly, ask clarification questions. If they say their day's been a nightmare, you've no way of knowing what that means to them. And there's just a risk that you start to make assumptions based on what would be a nightmare for you, which could be way off the mark, of course. Ask them in what way a nightmare, how specifically. Not only will you avoid making assumptions, you're challenging them to investigate and articulate what they mean. By getting them to explain it to you, they're explaining it to themselves too. Fourthly, summarise what you've heard. This will, well, 1, it'll keep you on your toes, knowing you intend to do it. 2, it'll give them a chance to correct you if you've made any assumptions or misheard something. And 3, it gives them a kind of flyby. While they were talking the first time round, they were drafting in real time. When they hear the key points back, they get an opportunity to edit or refine or even add to it. Often a coachee will say something to me after a summary that'll be like, oh yeah, that's right. Oh, and come to think of it, there's this too. And fifthly, and maybe the most powerful, but also the one you probably use most sparingly, reflect back to them any significant non-verbal cues you notice. This might be related to body language or facial expressions or even tone of voice. Just bringing it into the conversation. I noticed that when you mentioned Mike, you furrowed your brow and dipped your head slightly. What was going on there? They might go, oh, did I? Well, let me tell you about Mike. 5 things. Make your listening obvious, match their energy, ask clarification questions, summarise and reflect back significant non-verbals. Your listening is now facilitating their thinking, and done gently and sensitively, it could be the most powerful thing you do in the whole session.